Zupar. I'm the CEO and founder of PlanetCare. And today I'm going to talk about laundry without microplastics as part of Source for Tomorrow. You throw a plastic grocery bag into the oceans every week simply by doing your laundry. Multiply that by 200 million washing machines used in Europe alone, and you get 40,000 tons of microplastics literally down the drain. Because when we wash our clothes, especially synthetic fibers, we release millions of tiny microplastics into our water supply. Except microplastics are not like those plastic bags. They are an invisible pollutant. And once they escape our drain pipes, there's no way of ever retrieving them back. If we have a hypothetical chance of cleaning the oceans of those macroplastics items, we don't stand a chance with microplastics. So prevention is actually the only way to go. We have to prevent them going there in the first place. We have to stop them at the source. 35% of all microplastics found in our oceans are actually microfibers coming from washing your clothes. 35%. The other major source is residues from car tires, and it's much more difficult to act there. They are highly mobile, so they can be found everywhere, truly everywhere. In the deepest waters of the Mariana Trench, and that is 11 kilometers deep, and in the highest mountains of the Pyrenees. In fact, there was a very recent study published from Peter Ross where they found fresh polyester fabrics in all 71 samples of seawater taken from stations in the Arctic. What was also established is that those fibers came there from washing machines in Europe and in North America. So what you see on the slides is a picture of Waterbug who had a red sweater for lunch. You can see the tiny red fiber in her intestines. And this is just to show you how fibers work their way up through our food chain and end up on our plates. So they're not just harming marine life and marine ecosystems, they're actually directly harming human health too. They have been found in human intestines, they have been found in our lungs, and recently they have even been found in human placenta. We know with certainty they cause endocrine disruptions, they cause infertility issues, they cause autoimmune disease, and much more. So the question is, why aren't we doing something about it? So why PlanetCare? PlanetCare was born out of sheer frustration that nothing is being done about microfiber issue. I was in my late 30s, a mom of three, busy, hardworking lawyer, and I had no idea that my washing machine is a pollutant. With small kids and pets, you run the machine almost non-stop. And when I visited a touring exhibition on marine litter, I realized that, I'm actually polluting with washing my clothes. So I did a bit of research on the extent of pollution and what's being done about it. And I shockingly discovered the awareness of the problem was really low 3 years ago. And also there were, practically no real solutions available to address it. So that's why I decided to, explore the option of the possibility that this stuff is filtered out. I had a corporate client at the time who had problems with the industrial grey waters, and this is where I met a filtration specialist. So we discussed this problem and we started playing around, and soon enough we discovered that the fibers can actually be filtered out, that these microplastics can be filtered out. It's not an easy job because you have to keep in mind the high efficiency of the filter versus the durability of the filter. So you have to find the perfect balance. So we knew it was not going to be simple, but we also knew that it is possible. So once we had our very first primitive prototype of the filter that's on the market today, I have written an email to Maria Westerbos, the founder and director of the Plastic Soup Foundation, saying that we have a filter she's been looking for and if she would like to get to know us and to come and see it. She was excited. They flew over. They had a look at our filter, the concept. They thought it was a very interesting concept, that it was a feasible idea. The only condition they had before openly endorsing us and becoming our partner was to independently test the efficiency of the filter, because only if it's going to work really well, they're going to endorse us. So we had it tested at the CNR Institute in Naples. That's a really famous institute in Italy for polymers. And the results were really good. We have retained more than 80% of the filters even back then, of the fibers, sorry, even back then. And this is how the relationship was born. And this is the time when I leave my day job and concentrate on PlanetCare 100%. Efficiency was always really important to us, not just to Maria, but for me too. We wanted to go beyond conscience clearing, because at the time there were some solutions on the market, like the Corabol and the Guppy Friend, who were great for raising awareness, but were not that efficient in actually taking care of the problem. So what we designed, the first prerequisite for our existence was high efficiency. And then filters needed to be friendly for the user, they needed to be easy to install, and they needed to be affordable. Because only if all these criteria is met, they're going to be widely adopted and you're going to have an impact. So we're very proud to say that for the second time in a row, we have been named the best solution on the market from the Swedish Environmental Protection Agency. But catching fibers, it's only the first step. What happens with the fibers after they're caught? That was also our main concern. And that's why we designed a completely closed loop service. We designed a return and reuse scheme, which enables us to actually refurbish 95% of the cartridge and to recycle the rest, which is the 5%, it's actually the non-woven material with the trapped fibers inside. So ideally, consumers do nothing with our filters except change them and send them back for the refurbishment. This is our filter. This is our external retrofit. This is the housing. When you open it up, there's a cartridge inside. Looks like that. And when the cartridge is full, this is after 20 washes. You're supposed to exchange it, put a new one in, and collect the old ones to send back for refurbishment. So this is our unique closed loop service. Why is it so important to be highly efficient, affordable, easy to use? Because I believe that only if there's an opportunity to truly make a positive impact, people will be motivated to act. We offer a wide range of quality solutions. So what I just showed you was a domestic retrofitting filter that has been on the market since late 2019. We are very proud. We have been named one of the 60 green startups in Europe, so just 60 among 5,000. And we have received a substantial grant from the European Innovation Council to develop a built-in filter to actually go into the washing machine. So we have just started to work on that project, and we have preliminary prototypes and also preliminary discussions with washing machine manufacturers. We have also developed a commercial filter, and we have partnered with Green Earth Cleaners. They are the #1 brand, the largest brand in the world for green sustainable dry cleaning. And we have partnered with them for distribution in the United States. We actually have 20 filters waiting to be installed in California, but unfortunately due to COVID, that has come to a pause and will hopefully resume later on this year. Also, we have had one successful project regarding the industrial application in India. You can see here, there's actually the picture of our industrial filter installed in textile plant in Punjab, India, and left to it are actually the commercial filters. So regarding the industrial applications, I would like to say two things are really important. First, we need to identify exactly where in the process of textile production the most fibers are shed. We have to identify that spot, and then we have to filter at that spot, and that that can be either upgrading the filtration system that already exists, or it just building it from scratch. And secondly, it's actually in the hands of the buyer. It's a responsibility of the buyer, in my opinion, to demand environmental action from the supplier, because textile plants are usually, in Asia, in Bangladesh, and people there are, usually not privileged enough, pressed with pricing. And if the buyer is not willing to either invest or at least, demand some sort of environmental action, it is not likely to happen. And this was exactly the case in our pilot project in India. The buyer was the postcode lottery from the Netherlands. They were producing blankets for their community out of, yarn from PET bottles. So they really wanted to make sure that the industrial pre-washing is made before those blankets are sent out to the customer, which makes absolute sense, because as literature and research has taught us, the most shedding of the fibers actually happens in the first few washes, and then it stabilizes. So industrial pre-washing makes a lot of sense. Of course, we have to take, into account other, like the usage of water and the energy. But I think this can, it can work out if we design it in a sustainable way. Finally, consumers can take action. There is a good solution on the market, and we don't need to wait for the fashion industry or the textile industry to change, because that will take years. This is where I completely agree with Maria, and this is what we have been saying for years. To wait for the textile industry, it's going to be too late. It's too long. But is it really just in the hands of the consumer, or should it just be the burden of the consumer to act? But should it just be in the hands of the consumer? Should we put all the burden on the consumer? I don't think so. I think so. We have the consumer, we have the washing machine industry, we have the regulation bodies, we have the government, the intergovernmental organization, we have the certification bodies and organizations. So I think we should all play a part to actually to make laundry without microplastics a reality. Sorry, it should definitely not just lie in the hands of the consumer alone. I'm very happy we have been recognized by mainstream media. This gave us a strong voice. Just recently, the Bloomberg Green, because it's important that people not only hear about the problem, but everybody should hear about the solution. I think a positive narrative is really important when it comes down to environmental problems, because otherwise the environmental crisis just seems overwhelming and we can just all despair about it. So I believe we should break it down into smaller chunks and actually make a plan who does what, and then we can actually see results, because the nature will rebound when given the chance. Our oceans will rebound for the damage we have inflicted, but it's time we stop. We should just stop with the damage and start with the repair process. What I'm most proud of in our 3 years of existence is our contribution in regulation and in policy change. You see, when we first developed a filter, the very primitive one I was telling you about, and then the version alpha and beta, let's say. My idea was, because I was a lawyer and I knew something about IP, but I knew nothing of production or e-commerce. I decided to, patent the invention and then just go to washing machine producers and offer them our IP. And naively, I thought they would be terribly pleased that somebody came up with a solution, and they're going to scream from joy. Except they didn't. 3 years ago, nobody was really interested in taking action. So I said, okay. And the answers that they would usually give is like, people buy washing machines to wash their clothes. They don't really care about this pollution. It's not our problem. It should be dealt with, further down the drain with the wastewater treatment system. So it was kind of, it's not our problem. It's not something we want to act upon just yet. So I decided to go the other way around, and to actually build a retrofit in filter and put it on the market. This is the filter I've shown earlier. So this is the filter you can actually retrofit each and every existing washing machine with. But the reason we did it is to show that people care, to show proof of concept in a technological way, but also in a marketing sense, that we can sell it, there are people buying it, and that it can be done. And this is exactly the proof that regulators needed, and that's why they contacted us repeatedly from different parts of the world, actually, because we had community of users and we had a filter on the market. So this is what actually forged regulation, and this is what I am actually most proud of. We still sit in governmental project groups and bodies dealing with regulation in Sweden, the Netherlands, France. We're an active stakeholder in France. We have been since before they introduced the regulation, obviously. And it is an important part of who we are to actually, we believe that filters should be in each and every washing machine. We believe they should be mandatory. We believe that the washing machine should be an environmentally neutral machine. So I'm going to leave you with this quote that's very dear to my heart. And I think it's a quote that each of us, trying to make a positive change in the world, should actually remember. Because just take us, for example, we have managed to really move things towards a more sustainable laundry. And it always starts with one individual or a few individuals, and we can move mountains from that. Thank you.